In the movie The Matrix, your body heat is being salvaged, and to keep your mind occupied, you're living inside of a false reality, computer generated. The reason I think we live in a matrix now is because I think the same thing is happening. Perhaps it's not our body heat, perhaps it's our work, our ideas, but they're being salvaged, and the reality they've given us to occupy our brains is false. We don't live in the real world. We are living in a reality where we're told stories and narratives that aren't true, where they try very hard to distract us with garbage. Rihanna. I have nothing against Rihanna. Like, I don't know her. But when I see a concert and I see hundreds of thousands of peons standing amongst peons.
What are they?
Peons is the people who go to these concerts.
Right.
Peon means peasant. Standing and because
this is an education in language.
No, but they are peasants because they're acting in a peasant way. They're acting like peasants. Hundreds of thousands of people in a crowd looking up at somebody like they're God, jumping up and down for hours on end. You're a peasant. You're a peasant. And your life's shit, and you have no achievements, no money, you're depressed, but you're distracted. They've distracted you with this idol, whoever it happens to be. Put them there, and the peasant's like, yeah. And then they go home, and they're told something by the news. Let's make up a completely false scenario. Be afraid of the common cold. Okay, and then anyone who comes back and says, why are we afraid of the common cold? They delete their point of view. They shut them up to create a false reality. So people are living a life where they're working a job, they're being enslaved by the machines for their tasks, but their mind is distracted by garbage and only fed a fake story, and they're living inside of a computer-generated simulation. They're living inside of a world that is not real. They don't live in a real world. A lot of people live inside of the matrix completely, especially the people who dislike me. Key to beginning to escape. So we had Hustlers University. They attacked it when they attacked the matrix. So now we've started our own banks. We have our own banking license. We have our own payment processing. We have our own data center deep in a mountain.
Was that because it all got taken off you when you were cancelled?
It's because they were attacking it.
Right.
So we built all the infrastructure ourselves.
So you're decentralized?
Completely. So it can't be attacked anymore. And that's the real world, and we can teach people how to make money. And the reason I teach people how to make money is because money is stage one to escaping the matrix. You can't think for yourself and talk the things you believe if you need that wage and that person tells you to shut up. You can't. The reason everyone wore the mask is because they had to pay their mortgage.
Or their wife told them to.
Or their wife told them to. That's right, yeah. So if you need breadcrumbs and you're a starving man, you can't really talk to the guy who has all the bread and tell him to get fucked, right? So the first thing you do when someone says to me, I want to escape the matrix, I think for myself is, okay, then you need to be prepared financially. You need money to go to war. So the first thing I do is I teach anybody who's a fan of mine to make as much money as possible. And I don't do that to make money. In fact, the school is ridiculously cheap. It's so cheap, it's less than a lunch. And you can find out more on cobratate.com. But the reason I do
what was the link again?
cobratate.com.
Right.
But anybody who is a fan of mine, I want those people to be as wealthy as possible because they agree with my mindset. And I want to equip my soldiers. I don't want everyone who agrees with me to be an unimportant brokey. I want the people who agree with me to be influential and rich. And I want them to be able to stand up and talk and fight for themselves. So this is the reason I teach people how to make money, because I know anybody who resonates with my message, the wealthier they get, the better the war is going to be for me. So I wouldn't consider it philanthropic. I have an agenda, but my agenda is to find anybody who agrees with me and give them as much money as possible. So that's the real world, which is launching on cobratate.com, because that's stage one. You're asking how to escape. Stage one is you must make money. I've tried very hard to help people with no money, but there's just too many blocks in the way. You can't put that on social media. You can't afford a day off work. You can't afford your boss to get mad. You can't afford to get arrested. You can't get a lawyer. You can't fight. You can't fight. You need bullets in your gun. So stage one is to get rich. Then you have to get rich while preserving your soul. And that's a harder part, right? Because as you get rich, as you climb, there are many different hands trying to drag you in different directions.
He says, looking at me over his glasses.
You have women, gambling, drugs, degeneracy, hedonism.
Isn't that why you have money?
Well, this is it. And you can dabble, but you certainly don't want to lose your soul completely.
Yeah.
You have large business interests offering more money, more power to believe X, to say X. I can sit here and say now, I have never sold a scam to anybody. I don't sell crypto pump and dumps to anybody. I don't sell soft drinks full of sugar to anybody. I've been offered money by gambling companies. I said no. Only thing I teach is teach people how to make money, and I know it works because I do it all myself. Me and my professors teach what we already do to all become multimillionaires to people, and I've told the reason why. They've tried to get me to sell my soul, to sell crap to the world, endless times, and I've never done it. So you have these offers, right? When you're the most Googled man on the planet, do you have any idea how much they'll pay you to sell bollocks to people? Andrew, hey, here, this energy drink, say it's what you take to have high energy, and sell this shit full of sugar to children, and here's $100 million. No, I won't do it. I don't believe in it. I won't do it. So then you have to keep your moral fiber and stay principled, which is another battle. But if you manage to make money and stay true to your own moral fibers and principles and stay perspicacious, word of the day, keep paying attention to the world and actually keep your eyes open and look around, then you'll naturally escape the matrix. It's natural for the human mind, it's natural human evolution for us to spiritually escape the enslavement. Because the enslavement is from man, but our enlightenment is from God. It is natural for us, if you get rich enough to say no to ideas that you understand are innately wrong, if you get rich enough to have a different opinion, if you pay a lot of attention and you resist all of the temptations of the devil, the only possible end state is to escape the matrix. It's an easy trajectory. Most people fall off because they're too broke to think. You're too poor to have an opinion, so you're too poor to think. The rest fall off because they get a little bit rich and they get snapped up. But anybody who doesn't fall for those two traps ends up where I am. And there are a lot of us.
And where are you?
I am in a stage of enlightenment outside of the matrix. I'm like Morpheus. I come in and out. I come back into the matrix. I come to YouTube. I talk to people whose minds are ready to be freed. I convince them to join the real world at tate.com and begin their journey. And I take the free minds and we escape the matrix together. This is why for a long time on Twitter, I had an account called Morpheus. I was Morpheus because that's what I kept getting compared to. I come in and out trying to free the minds. And I hope I find Neo. I hope I find somebody who's even better at attacking the matrix than I am. All I'm trying to do is talk to the people who understand what I'm saying is right. When I say these things, there are going to be certain amounts of people who listen to this and think I'm crazy. He's crazy. And there's going to be people who listen to it and go, yes, finally, finally I understand. Finally I know what to do. I've felt this for so long. I've looked around me and knew that this shouldn't be my life. I knew that they're lying to me. I didn't know what to do. Now he's told me what to do. Those are the ones I'm interested in. And they can join the real world. Inside of tate.com, I'll see them there. Anybody who thinks I'm crazy, that's fine. I'm crazy. Don't worry about me. I'm a crazy misogynist. The news has never lied to anybody. Every war ever started, the reason the news told you, that's why it started. It's not like every single one's been a false flag since the beginning. Every single narrative that they've tried to purport upon you is not to control you. It's because they want you to know the truth because you're so important. Don't worry. So if the media is lying about me, they must be right. Why would they lie? Why would they try and convince people that the world's most influential man is somehow bad? It's not because, they're worried he has influence and might push the world in a good direction. Of course not. No, it's because he's such a bad guy. That's why he has no criminal record. No girls come forward saying I've done anything to anybody. No victims of any kind. And somehow I'm evil. And the people who believe this garbage are slave-minded. They're slave-minded. It's the most common tactic in the world. First, they insult your character and attack you. It's stage one of the three stages. They attack you, your character, and cancel you. They put you in jail for something you did not do. And the last is they kill you. And I'll make it very clear here. I would never kill myself under any circumstances, ever. Ever. And if I like to think that if anybody sees a media article where I've been locked up for whatever it is, they're going to look at it and go, this is bullshit. Tate didn't do that. With the scrutiny I'm under, does anyone think I'm breaking the law? I'm the most scrutinized man on the planet. Like, if I was breaking laws, I'd be in jail. Trust me. I drive at the speed limit, my friend. That's the level it's got to. Like, they think I'm out here doing bad things. So when an article comes out saying Tate did this, I just pray There's enough people who are outside of the matrix to sit and go, this is some bullshit. And he doesn't deserve this, because I don't deserve it, because I will be innocent.
What is enlightenment?
I think that enlightenment is always being able to use your own emotions to your advantage. Every single time I've been furiously angry, or even in a murderous rage, it's been a very appropriate time to be so. And I don't mean appropriate because of the reasoning. I'm not saying I had a good reason to be angry. I'm saying that it was the best decision at the time. Every time I've ever been truly sad, again, it was beneficial for me to feel that way. There are times in life when murderous rage is the best possible option on the table.
Like
there are times in life where if you're genuinely threatened, the best possible emotion you can feel is murderous rage, right? There's times when it's appropriate. And there's times when it's good to be sad, and there's times when it's good to be empathetic, and there's times when it's good to be ruthlessly psychopathically cold. So I think enlightenment is making sure that your brain and soul and spirit are trained in a way that the emotions you feel at any given time are the best possible card in the deck. Of all the options you have in the playbook, depending on the scenario, your own spirit gives you the exact perfect way to feel to handle that scenario in the most effective and compendious way possible.
Is that like almost taking a step above those emotions and observing those emotions and using them in a second stage awareness?
That's a good question. And I would say that's semi-enlightenment.
Right.
There was a point where, yes, I'd get furiously angry and I could see myself from the outside and it was conscious. But when you actually reach true enlightenment, you don't have to be conscious of it and you don't have to observe yourself from the outside. You just feel what you're supposed to feel at the exact right time, all of the time. And you're absolutely engrossed by it and completely. I've never been murderously angry where that was not the best chance of me handling that scenario to my advantage. And I've never been in any other emotional state where it wasn't the best possible move. When I think back outside of the emotional experience itself and think, could I have felt a different way and would that have allowed me to act in a different way that would have helped me more? The answer is always no. The way I felt allowed me to do exactly what I had to do. And yes, there was a point when that was semi-conscious and now it's not conscious at all. If I start to feel angry, it's not conscious. I am angry completely and utterly and I trust my body and my spirit that I'm supposed to be angry and I'm supposed to act within that frame. And that's what true enlightenment is, because thinking outside of it and being conscious of it is good, but it takes time. And often in the most extreme scenarios of life, the one thing you will not have is very much time. There has to be instant and complete decisions, and there has to be final scenarios, what's the word I'm looking for? Consequences.
Is that something you trained yourself to do?
I think that life's trained me to be that way. This is what happens when you've had a varied enough life. I talk often about the importance of trauma as a man. I think that if you were to find the most interesting or most capable men on the planet, they've had the most trauma-filled lives. I just think that trauma is what teaches you. We talked earlier about how you have to have lessons taught to you the hardest way. If you were to call a Navy SEAL and ask him to protect you going into a building full of assailants, you'd like to think that guy's been through some stuff. You'd like to see some scars, right? You wouldn't want Mr. Freshface to turn up. This is the reason why we instinctively don't trust youth. Because you look at a kid, if a wealth manager walks in and he's 18, you're like, oh, you don't know about life. Nothing's hurt you yet. That's why we trust age. That's why they say that wisdom you must grow into wisdom. You can't just pick it up, right? Trust your elders, listen to your elders, etc. These are age-old ways of thinking. So lessons and trauma, and the more you go through, the better of a man you are. And if you were to find the best men on the planet, I guarantee they've been through a bunch of terrible things. And if you listen to podcasts from any of the most interesting people on the planet, usually they've had hard, terrible lives. And you can use that trauma to become a better person, or you can let that trauma consume you and destroy you. But I thank God for all of it, because it gave me endless power to become the person I am. If you're truly angry or truly unhappy, then you can't sleep. And if you can't sleep, then you get twice as many hours as everybody else to become monumentally successful. So there's advantages. There's advantages to difficult things.
And what is the biggest trauma that's taught you the most?
I've thought long and hard about which stories I'm prepared to share on social media, which ones I'm not, and that line's getting more and more blurred. I'm starting to give more and more away. And there's certain things I don't want to say. And I'm certainly not looking for any degree of sympathy because, like I said, I am glad for everything that happened to me. I wouldn't change a thing. I thank God for all of it. So truthfully, I think I'm lucky, I've been blessed. The reason I talk about these things is not to tell people I've had a hard life. It's to make it clear to people who are complaining about their own lives that the bad things that are happening to you are what you need to become the man that you want to be. I can't talk about women because I'm not one. I actually think trauma is terrible for women because it masculinizes them. They become cold. And that's not attractive, right? We want feminine, pure, protected women. I don't want a woman to ever go through anything bad in her life. I think a man should go through it for her and protect her because I think that's how she's her best self as a woman. But I think to be your best self as a man is the absolute opposite. And when someone emails me and says, "This has happened to me," I'm like, good. No, what do you mean good? It's terrible. How else are you going to become important? How else are you going to find endless fire to get up and struggle in the face of the competition that's out here in the world? How else are you're going to do all that with a nice, cushy life? If any man's honest with himself, think about the biggest transformative stages in your life. Think about the times you got the most work done. It was a bad part of your life. You were heartbroken, or you lost a house, or broke, or whatever. That's when you did shit. When everything was fine, when the woman's still sucking dick, the mortgage is paid, dinner's on time, it's kind of doop-de-doop-de-doo, little by little, do a little bit of work, do a little bit of relax. But the big events come from trauma. This is it. So it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code to climb the mountain. So when I get a message from whoever and he goes, "My wife left me, I'm devastated," I say, I understand. I completely understand how hard it can be to lose a woman that you've given your entire life to. And you've done so many nice things. And then because of one thing you did, her innate and absolutely insane level of ungratefulness has turned her bitter, and she now talks to you like she hates you over one thing you've done after thousands of efforts showing how dedicated you are to her. And even now that you're prepared to die for her, she doesn't give a shit about you. I understand that pain. But my answer is, good, it's still good. Now take all of that pain, and instead of emailing me, do this. And then you're going to become the kind of person that women don't leave. And you win.
Andrew, I've got to do my job here.
Sure.
I don't want to do this because I'm really enjoying this, so I've got to do my job. I want to push you for one specific example of something that was traumatic to you, maybe something in your childhood or something, because there's still a wall there where you haven't given us anything that's really hurt you.
Oh, completely, yeah, I haven't answered. So, I have a whole bunch of things, but I can give you a simple one that I've talked about already before. And this is one that everyone can relate to. Losing my father was bad. Me and my father were exceptionally close. But it's a natural part of human evolution. As you grow, you're going to lose your parents. This is what happens, right? It's going to suck, but the only alternative is that you die before them, and I think that's worse because it's unnatural, right? And there's an African proverb that says you don't become a man until your father dies, and I can confirm that to be true.
That is my biggest fear in life. What I know is coming, not,
It's coming.
Yeah.
And it's sudden, and it's instant, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
And but all the trauma, like all of the pain associated with that experience, it taught me at least. I all of a sudden almost remembered every conversation I ever had with him. Like I was talking to the guy every day, right?
How old were you when that happened?
27.
Yeah.
I was talking to the guy all the time. But once he's gone, you remember all the times he was right and you didn't quite understand. All the times he was saying things you didn't quite get. All the times you talked back and you were absolutely and utterly incorrect. You're like, oh shit, I've been wrong this whole time, right? So it teaches you a whole bunch about yourself. And it also, for me, what it did was make it clear to me that I'm no longer a student and it's time to become a teacher.
Yeah.
And also my scenario with my father was very unique because he was the only person on the planet I allowed to check my thinking. Even at the age of 25, 26, I had asked my dad if I was right. I didn't give a shit what anybody else said. You could get 20,000 people in a room saying, Andrew, you're wrong. Didn't care. But if my dad said I was wrong, shit, I was wrong. So once he wasn't around to check my thinking, I had to check my own thinking a lot harder, a lot more carefully. So yeah, I mean, that was a terrible experience. I miss him like the deserts miss the rain, but that's his life, right? The only alternative is worse. I don't think he would have been able to actually function if he lost me. So this is how it goes, and it's coming for all of us. What's actually kind of amazing is he is mentioned and talked about now so often on the internet because of my massive fame. So I've kept him alive. By becoming so successful, people are interested in my origin, which makes people talk about him. So it's kind of like, if you have a duty to your bloodline and a duty to your ancestors and you truly love your parents, how can you still be sitting at home playing video games being a lazy piece of shit? Don't you want people to remember them? Don't you want people to think, wow, who's this person who raised this amazing person? So that in and of itself, it should be endless motivation. If anyone's watching this, if you love your parents, you can't be a loser anymore. Like, otherwise they're going to be forgotten along with you, you know? So, but yeah, it's coming.